In this video, we're going to explore one of the more common protection mechanisms that most people use when there's a difficult or uncomfortable emotional experience that's expected in the very near future. This behaviour is intended to keep us safe from the feelings that we fear the most, so things like sadness, loneliness, guilt and shame. And its purpose is to purely and simply stay away from situations in the external world physically. So today, let's have a conversation about our own Avoidant Protector mode. When the Avoidant Protector mode has been activated within our personality system, we either remove ourselves or completely stay away from the situations that we're afraid of, the things we find uncomfortable, or the activities where our experience is expected to be emotionally provocative. Basically, the Avoidant Protector stays as far away from uncomfortable emotional situations physically as it possibly can. For example, when it gets activated, the Avoidant Protector stays away from social functions. It doesn't go to work or school when there's a fear that something bad might happen, or it avoids situations that are perceived as a potential threat. Anything that's likely to activate the strong emotional experiences that are attached to the personal stories associated with the dominant schema that's activated within our personality system is completely avoided. The Avoidant Protector is sometimes seen by others, and often by our own internal critics, as simple procrastination that can get labelled as laziness. In actuality, the avoidant behaviour is in response to fear of the emotional experience that we'll face if we participate in the situation we're desperately trying to avoid. In the long run, this particular coping mechanism can create what's known as experiential avoidance, which is a progressive problem that ultimately strengthens our desire to stay away from more and more of these types of activities as a way to avoid the unwanted emotion they bring to our personality system. The Avoidant Protector is an extremely common behaviour mode for a great deal of people, and it's often the replacement coping mechanism when our primary and preferred way of dealing with emotion, those addictive, obsessive and compulsive behaviours, have been completely removed from our possible behavioural responses. Experiential avoidance is probably one of the most dominant coping mechanisms that people use all around the world every single day. When we feel some kind of fear about a particular situation or about a certain person or even about a specific thing, the easiest way for us to cope with this unwanted anxiety is to just avoid it. While this is definitely an effective way to deal with these potential threats in the short term, over time it can become the only way we know how to deal with the things that we fear. When this is the case, it gets progressively more dominant in our behavioural responses, and it tends to lead to a life of isolation and loneliness that only works to intensify our desire to escape more and more. For me, my Avoidant Protector mode really came to light early on in my recovery journey. While it had probably been around for a really long time, I had very little awareness of it prior to taking on this type of work. In my past, whenever there was a difficult situation on the horizon, I'd use some sort of substance to numb the emotional pain prior to engaging in the situation. In recovery, I no longer had the option of using substance to escape, and the angry responses I used as a replacement were not an effective option for me to use all the time. This meant that physically avoiding these experiences was the next best way to deal with my fear. Sometimes this part would show up when I had a specific social engagement to attend. Man, I really can't believe that they asked me to go to this thing. I've got no idea why they invited me. I mean, I don't think they even really like me, so it doesn't make sense to me at all. They're not really people who I used to drink with, and they've never really been involved in that aspect of my life, but they're gonna ask me all about why I'm not drinking when I'm there, and they won't be happy with anything that I say. They're just gonna keep pushing me to talk about this stuff all the time. It's okay, you don't have to go. Just stay home, don't get involved, don't respond to their messages. They're gonna keep pushing you to go. Just turn your phone off and ignore it. Everything will be okay. Just do it this way and you'll be fine. Yeah, screw it. I'm staying home. I'm not going to a place that I'm not wanted. They won't miss me anyway. I'm just going to ignore all of their calls and all of their text messages. They're going to get the message eventually. They'll leave me alone. There were also times when he'd show up if I had an expectation of a difficult day at work. Oh, I really can't believe I screwed that up yesterday. My boss is going to want to talk to me all about it for sure. I really don't want to deal with that. It's so embarrassing to have to explain what I did over and over again, to talk about the different choices that I made and justify the decision. Oh man, I don't want to deal with it. I know, just call in sick. They won't know that you're lying. Just pretend you're not well. Plug your nose. Put a voice on that makes you sound sick. By the time you go back to work, it'll all be done and dusted. Just pick up the phone and make the call right now. Yeah, screw it. I'm going to call in sick. I'll just plug my nose to make it sound better when I call. If I don't go in, I don't have to deal with it. So screw it. I'm just going to stay home. He'd even show up when it came to hanging out with people I actually wanted to hang out with. Oh man, I'm supposed to go hang out with John today. I really don't feel like going. I mean, he's a great guy and all, but he's going to want to talk about me and my life. I'm going to be expected to talk about him and his life. Yeah, I mean, I know I always enjoy the conversations, but I just can't be bothered today. It's just too much work. You don't need to meet John. You're not in a crisis right now. Who cares if you don't meet John today? You'll reach out to him when you need to. Right now, you're totally fine. He's not interested in your life anyway. Just turn off your phone and pretend you forgot. Everything will be okay. You don't have to deal with this. Yeah, screw it. I'm just going to turn off my phone and just pretend I forgot about it. He won't mind. It'll be okay. I'll meet him some other time when I actually need to meet him. Like right now, I'm totally fine. It'll be okay. The thing is, experiential avoidance can become exactly like an addictive, obsessive, and compulsive behavioural response. And much like any of the behaviours that I'd used in the past, it's also a progressive coping mechanism. It started as a tool that's designed to help me cope with a high level of anxiety or fear, which when used works to lessen the emotion that we're trying to escape from. The problem with this behaviour is now my brain knows that an avoidant behaviour protects me from these unwanted emotional experiences. So the next time I suspect this emotion is on the cards, my system is already planning ways to avoid it in order to cope. And therein lies the creation of the Avoidant Protector. And the intention that's driving this behaviour is pretty much the same every single time. It's designed to keep us safe from the overwhelming emotion that's being held by our vulnerable child. The more we use it, the more active this part becomes. And the only way to stop the cycle is to step into the very thing that we're afraid of to kind of reverse the process. Now, this is an extremely counterintuitive behaviour to take on, since we're being asked to step into what we've probably been running from for most of our lives. However, as far as I'm aware, it's the only way to break the cycle and begin to develop the life you want to live. Stepping into this type of fear is the very nature of the DBT skill that we call taking an opposite action. And there are two basic ways that we can use this skill, both of which are incredibly effective. First, we can take an opposite action with brute force. I need to do the opposite of what my system is telling me to do. Right now, I've got to get out of bed, I've got to go to the store, I've got to meet my friends for a coffee. Whatever it is, I just need to do it. While this is a very effective thing for us to do and a fantastic way to use the skill of taking an opposite action, the skill itself takes on a completely different meaning when we take the opposite action mindfully. If we connect with the part that's trapped in the avoidant behaviour, in essence taking it by the hand and kind of bringing it with us when we take that opposite action, we can demonstrate the benefits of doing the thing that we're trying to avoid to the part of us that was trapped in the avoidant behaviour. This is how we create sustainable change, and we reduce the need to fight with our behavioural responses over and over again. We have to mindfully and gradually step into the situations and feelings that we've been avoiding, validating the part that wants to escape and bringing appreciation and gratitude for this mode of behaviour before educating the part on the need for change. Planning ahead to build mastery for the thing we fear the most, using the Raven exercise to build appreciation for the purpose of this particular part, and paying attention to positive events so we can see the progress we're making are all essential aspects of working with our parts that use this particular mode of behaviour. In the PDF at the bottom of the website page that's connected to this video, you're going to find a worksheet to help you identify if this mode is one that you experience as a dominant way of coping with your uncomfortable and unwanted emotional experiences. If you can, download it and set aside some time in your schedule to read it through. Take your time to contemplate and reflect on the questions before you answer them. See how relevant they are to you, and if you think and feel that this is a mode of behaviour that you participate in on a regular basis, use the skills of mindfulness and mode journaling to build awareness for its presence within your personality system. Listen to why it does what it does with compassion and curiosity, and see if you can appreciate its purpose. And guys, if you like the content of this video, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button and turn on the notifications to get all the latest from me and the Liberation Place. If you'd like to know more, come join the live online meetings that I facilitate for free each week on Zoom. You'll find a link to the page containing more information about those groups in the description below. I hope this video gave you some insight for the possibility of an avoidant protector existing within your own personality system. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Take care, be safe and be well.